Paula, just put into words how lovely it is to be back at the Dubai Marathon.
It's so good, so good. I mean, it's always been one of my favourite times of the year, just to come out to Dubai, kick off that marathon season. This year we've got a really exciting one ahead of us, building up to the Paris Olympic Marathons, where for the first time ever the women's marathon is going to close the whole Olympic experience and the Olympic Games. And you can kind of feel that the anticipation building already, particularly amongst the athletes. And there's a lot of Ethiopian athletes here, Kenyans as well, who have a final chance to kind of perhaps put down a marker that will make them noticed by the selectors and might get them the nod to be able to represent their country in those Olympic Games. And everybody knows that Dubai is traditionally the course to come to run fast and to run well, and we're back on that Jumeirah Beach Road. So yeah, I think everything's building and building, certainly for course records, maybe even faster than that. And yeah, I'm just excited to get into it.
And looking at the entry list, what do you make of it? Because obviously we've got a good representation across the board. You've already cited, representation from Ethiopia, from Kenya. But what's your vibe going into the race come Sunday?
I think that for me is the most exciting thing about the Dubai Marathon, the fact that there is no appearance money and it's all in prize money. So you know that the athletes that are coming here in shape and are coming here ready to race and to really lay down a fast marker. And I have fresh in my mind that finish when so many men were coming in together. I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to be able to make sense of this as commentators, because there were 12 men coming in, racing extremely hard, and it's just very exciting to watch. And I think we could see something similar. I think on the women's side, it's a smaller elite field. We've got 1 and 2 from last year in Deradida, Rutiaga coming back and kind of renewing that battle and trying to run quicker. And the course record is in danger, I would say, on that side. But on the men's side, I mean, it's really hard to pick names out there. There are so many. There are many debuts as well. And we know that they're coming in ready to learn. So some of those won't pan out, of course, but some will. And I think that's what we'll see in the race. So trying to predict now at this point, I mean, I'd probably hazard a guess in the times, and I think we could actually see a substantial course record, like into the 2:1s perhaps, and many people perhaps in there as well, not just one person out on their own. So I think that's what's going to be exciting, trying to pick one out there, although a personal favourite for me is Tuluwami.
Something you briefly alluded to, Dubai Marathon, okay, it is a really important year, it's Olympic year, but it really has firmly established in the minds of athletes because of the nature of the course. It's a great way to kickstart your season, isn't it, to really kind of gauge where you're at.
It is, and it's at that perfect place as well where you can come out, you can race well in January. It gives you either a really long recovery ready to build into races later in the year, or you can come back and actually even fit in another marathon at kind of April time before the championship marathon in the summer. So it is at that perfect placement. I think people have had time to kind of watch that whole autumn marathon season unfold, then go away and really train well, be very motivated for the year ahead and come out and put that marker down. And I think, as I say, the biggest deciding factor is the fact that they know it's going to be a great competition. It's going to be generally pretty near perfect weather conditions and extremely fast course and really well organised. So all of those things are in place to enable there to be very, very fast conditions. So essentially all the athletes have to do is get themselves here in shape and then go out and race well.
It's been talked a lot, super shoes. I mean, as someone who was at the top of her game for so long, set the world alight, what are your thoughts on it all?
I think super shoes are great. I think it is a completely different perspective on marathon racing, and so long as we don't forget the performances of the past, which in essence were a different era, and so we don't make those comparisons. So for example, in my head, if I'm looking at the British marathon scene, Steve Jones was still head and shoulders above, even though the shoes have kind of really knocked his time down the rankings. I think someone like that was really a trailblazer in the marathon, but I think the shoes across the board for the everyday runner they've changed the landscape hugely. I mean, just enabling them to stay injury-free. For me, with the little aches and pains as you get older at the end of a big career as well, it's nice to be able to run in the shoes and to be able to do that every day. I jumped into the Berlin Marathon, and the next day the only part that was sore was my foot. So we see those advantages there, and I think we're still seeing the advantages unfold on the racing side, and it's without a doubt been the biggest leap forward in technology. Still trying to understand it exactly, but athletes are seeing that they can train harder, they can recover better within the race. They don't have that kind of 30-kilometre fatigue hit in, where you really have to just focus on trying to keep your body moving forward, managing the fuel reserves, just keeping going on sore legs. That doesn't happen so much now, so that's why we're seeing athletes be able to close faster. So negative splitting, you used to have to be smart to run your race to do that. Now it's kind of becoming easier because you are still feeling fresh and you're able to pour all that last bit of energy into the final few kilometres. So that's why we're seeing exciting finishes as well.